Hey guys, Rio Vista Stables here. But today I'm going to be coming to you from Featherweight Studios because I have a model horse tutorial for you. Yay! So this is my first video that's not really a photo show entry or custom updates, but I'm going to be showing you how to make a base for your model horse. I'm going to be using a Breyer stablemate, as you can see, but you can use whatever model or kind that you would like. It's great if you have kind of a warped legged horse or anything like that. So you're going to be needing a paint, color of your choice, paintbrush. I'm using this Craft Smart that I got at Michael's for like $1, I think. You're going to need some various types of clay. You're going to need a hard clay for the main base, something that will really hold its shape in the oven and as it's cooling. As you can see, this one's pretty hard to knead. And a soft clay, which will provide texture really easily and allow the horse's hooves to sink into it so that it'll look more realistic. You're also going to need any kind of decorations that you would like. I'm actually going to be making a post out of this stick that I found in my backyard as my decoration. You're also going to be needing some tools of your choice if you would like to add texture. This is an example of some texture that I did with a toothbrush on just some regular clay. And the texture helps to add a really nice, realistic look to your overall stand and make it look a lot nicer and more professional, which is always good if you're going to be using this as a live show item. And this is a quick example of a stand that I've made. I haven't painted the bottom yet, as you can see, but it's all just made out of Palmer clay. You can buy it at Michael's. And this is actually a stand for my Goffert custom that I'm going to be working on. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is knead out your hard clay. Be sure to knead it really well so that you can get it in the perfect shape for your main base. Knead it really, really, really well so that it'll fold out flat and roll out nicely. When you knead your clay, it's a good idea to roll it up into a ball and then flatten it with something like a piece of glass, which is what I'm using, because by rolling it, it makes it knead easier than using your fingers and it doesn't tire them out. And then a flat surface such as this piece of glass provides a very nice smooth finish to your base, which will go great so that the textured clay can do all the work. So continue to just kind of knead and shape and add any clay that you need until you have the perfect base shape. Now that I have my base shape down, as you can see I had to add some extra clay, it's time to add the texture clay. Knead it really, really well, and then you're going to want to kind of roll it out to create almost like a sheet. Make sure you knead this really well to get all the air bubbles out, because you don't want bubbles in your finished stand because that doesn't look very professional. Okay, so now I have this sheet here that as you can see, and so what I'm going to do is kind of stretch it and lay it down right on top of my already prepared base. Be sure and don't cook the base before you add the texture, or else you will be baking the clay twice and it's more likely to burn. Smooth the clay out on the edges to create an almost downward sloping effect. You can add more clay if you need to and just go at your own pace. Okay, now's the fun part. It's time to add texture. So I'm going to be using this old toothbrush to make kind of a sandy texture. All you have to do is apply the texture by pressing the toothbrush down into the soft clay, and since the clay is soft, the bristles will poke into it, creating kind of this sand effect. And when you're doing this, also make sure that you get the sides and near the bottom so that you don't have a nice sandy top layer, but then the sides are awkwardly smooth. Also, you got to make sure that all of the lines that you smooth down all the lines that you made earlier with the texture clay so that you don't have awkward layers of clay either, because that will be very obvious and it won't look very professional at all. Again, remember to always get the sides because you don't want to have an awkward smooth side with an awesome textured top. And if you don't think you've applied enough texture, you probably haven't. Keep going even once you think you have enough. Okay, so here's our base. It's time to add details. I'm going to be inserting a post into mine, and I'm going to show you how I made it. I actually got it from my backyard off of this branch that I found on one of my trees. I measured it next to the horse, and it looked to be the perfect height and width. You can add any kind of detail you would like though, and you don't have to add just one thing. As you can see, I've already put a little hole in it with my X-Acto knife, and so now all I have to do is trim down the head pin to fit inside. The head pin is too long right now, so you're going to want to make sure that if you do make a stand, that you trim it down and then secure it inside so that it looks right. As you can see now, it's still a tiny bit long, but it's starting to look better.
The post, if that's what you're going to do. I'm going to be painting mine kind of a dark.
You can always paint your details if you would like, but for this stand, I decided to keep it natural just to create more of that realistic effect. Now, to secure the head pin inside of the post, I'm going to be using Mod Podge. It's like glue, it's very strong, but it dries really quickly so you can get along with your project before other things dry. I'm just pouring a little bit into the cap so that I can poke the head pin end into the glue and then into my base. All you have to do is dip it inside and get a good amount on it so that you know that it will stay. Also, make sure you use regular Mod Podge, not glittery Mod Podge, because the glitter can get everywhere. So now all you have to do is stick it inside and rotate it however you would like until it looks absolutely perfect. Remember, don't settle. You always want your item to come out exactly how you imagined it in your head. Now, decide where you want your horse and where you want your details. I've decided that I'm going to put my horse near the sloping end of the base. And I want my posts to go on the opposite side. Here I'm just adding a little bit of extra texture just for extra measure, to make sure it looks absolutely perfect. Now, place your horse on top of the clay and make sure you positively love where it is before you press down. When you do press down, press straight down into the clay to ensure that the horse's hooves will fit back in its place after you break it. Also make sure to press down evenly and make sure that the horse isn't tilting on your base before you cook it. As you can see, his legs are lined up really nicely and it's starting to come together. Now you need to remove your horse. When you do this, you have to be extra careful. Pull straight up so that the grooves don't become crooked. Your horse should pop right off after a few seconds of pulling. Remember, be gentle and don't press down too hard or else your fingertips or fingerprints will be left in the clay and then you'll have awkward fingerprints in your design. And that's not what you wanted. Now that our steak has dried a little bit, it's time to put the horse back in place to see if we like it and then add the details. The post is going to go in front of the horse and to the side. And remember, make sure you positively love where it's placed before you stick it in. It's going to be really hard to cover that back up and then retexturize it and then replace that. As you can see, I'm trying to figure out where I want it so that it's absolutely perfect. Also make sure that your detail is facing the horse if that's what you want, or away, depending upon what you want. I don't recommend spinning the item around in the clay after you've stuck it in because that could create an uneven groove that will make it hard for the item to stick back in afterwards. As you can see, I stuck my detail inside and it's starting to really look good. I'm really liking how it's coming out. And remember, make sure everything's pressed in really nice and really, really straight. Also, make sure your stand is down straight before you cook it and after it's cooked and while you're cooling it. Remove your horse and remove your detail.